Hi everyone. I think I've come on live just a few seconds early, so don't rush, don't panic. We just want to make sure that everything is working accordingly. I'm not on the sofa, you'll see that for a start. So if I do look to this side, I say this side because sometimes it's a mirror image that you're seeing from me. But if I do look over here, it's because Laurie, my wife, is helping me with the questions, so I don't have to be scrolling through questions as well as looking at the camera reading to you. So you might hear her voice in the background as well. So how are you working?
Yeah, I've just said hi to everyone from us.
Okay.
I think I've got 10 people.
So what you'll see is on your screen, you'll see me. And to the side of that or underneath it, depending on what equipment that you're using, you'll see, hopefully, fingers crossed, if this has all worked and sort of weeks and weeks and weeks of work have gone in and working now, that you'll see a text box that you can say hi and ask your questions and comment. And I will it will be a two-way conversation here with you typing in, so it could be a 10-20 way conversation depending on how many people join us. So I think we're going to last around half an hour this session, 20 minutes, half an hour perhaps. We'll see how many of you engage with the conversation and what I've got to say. So first and foremost, thank you for joining me again. And I feel like a bit of a news reporter here at my table. I should be sort of doing this with my paperwork. The reason why I'm not on the sofa with Cara is because of this stuff that you might be able to see here. I didn't have room for it on the sofa and it could make a big mess and I'll be in a lot of trouble. So I'm doing it on the table just now, and next time probably on the sofa unless I have any other crazy ideas. And for those of you who know me well, I do come up with some crazy ideas sometimes. So this first session is really discussing about Qi, and quite a few have asked some questions already, hence my paperwork here, which I will answer in just a moment. But I'm just going to go through without trying to complicate things for you, but just what Qi is, what Qi sensations are, and what Qi reactions are, because it's a common theme to the questions that many of you email me with. So what is Qi? Qi is, in traditional Chinese medicine, our life force. It is a life force that runs through us, runs through trees, runs through the earth, and it runs through meridians or channels. Now, if you've been following classes, you'll see that you would have heard me say left and right hand channel, central channel. That's the channels that your Qi will run through. Once we get the Qi flowing, we then can feel certain things and have certain reactions. So the way to get the Qi running and fluid and moving is through a practice of Qigong, hence the name Qigong. Qigong means an energy practice. Qi, energy, Gong, practice or skill. So it's an energy skill, energy practice. That's the best translation for Qigong. So when you are practicing your Qigong, not only is it just a physical set of exercises, it is also moving your Qi. What we ideally want as individuals is have free-flowing Qi. And free-flowing Qi is our aim with Qigong. But, and there's always a but, free-flowing Qi will stop flowing when we encounter health problems. Physically, mentally, or emotionally, will block our Qi, and it will block it within those channels and those meridians. So we use Qigong to unblock. Now, depending on how long those meridians have been blocked, how long you have been suffering from that health condition, no matter what it is, depends on how long it's going to take you to unblock it. So it's not a case of, well, I've been dealing with this for 40 years, 50 years, it's pointless now, lose hope. Absolutely not. I have known people, I have students in their 90s who are really, really benefiting from Qigong now. And they have been living and dealing with their health condition for decades, 60 years, 70 years, 80, all their life sometimes. They were born with it. So never give up. Now, with the Qi, sometimes it's harder to feel certain things with Qi and feel movements and engage with the movements and connect with the movements. And that's because we're all individual, and that's because we all have our own stuff. For instance, I can only talk about myself here, but in 1995, I was an able-bodied person and literally overnight ended up in a wheelchair to find out that I needed major surgery on my spine. And it's within that period of around 10 years prior to my operation that I was really suffering. I had 10 years of stuff, physical stuff and mental stuff that I needed to get through. And that doesn't mean it's going to take 10 years to get through it. It depends on how you approach Qigong and how often you do it. So if you imagine Qi as a circling, moving substance, feeling in and out of your body. And as it moves, it will encounter things. And just like water will encounter things through a watercourse, through a river, through a stream, if there are trees that are falling down in the wind, the water will still find its way, but it won't be as clear. So what we need to do is remove that tree eventually, but it might be a big tree. So different movements will move different blockages within the body. So with me, when I was coming out of this took me daily practice to do it. And I realized that if I didn't do my Qigong practice for a few days, I would be almost catching up again to get back to where I was 3 days prior. So it's a cumulative effect on how you do your Qigong. If you do a little bit every day, you'll get the flow going. And then as that day goes on, that flow slows down a little bit. And the next morning, hopefully you'll join class again. We get your Qi flowing again, and you live the course of the day. It slows down a little bit. And then you see the pattern here, I hope. But then what happens is that if you give it a break for a day, 2 days, it slows right down. It will never stop. It only stops when we're no longer here on this planet. And it slows down. And then to get it moving back, free-flowing again, takes a little bit more work. So the ideal is regular practice. So, Qi itself. Now, I've got a question that's been asked by Paddy. How do we visualize Qi? Well, it's different for everyone. Absolutely different for everybody. Now, I'm going to do a sort of experiment here that I've been playing with, and with my little boy too, and he loves it. So I've had to keep him away from this stuff that I'm just about to show you. Now, the camera is going to slowly change now because my very glamorous assistant, who I have offered to be in shot, by the way, but she rather didn't, is going to just move the camera. So you'll be pleased to know you won't see my face for a moment. You're going to see this stuff called Oobleck. So, or if you can just bring the camera down just a little, and a little bit more. Perfect, thank you. So, this stuff here is called Oobleck. Now, some of you, and I know some of you, Jane, coincidentally you spoke about Oobleck, you emailed me about Oobleck a couple of weeks ago. Oobleck is something that was in a Dr. Seuss book. And essentially this is water and cornflower. But it's a really, really good way to offer you a visualization of how Qi works and how your Qigong works. And the importance of practicing with fluidity and without trying to push through barriers. So you're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to get my hands dirty now. So oobleck, as you can see here, I hope, is a liquid. You can hopefully see it moving. Now, when I put my hand in this gooey stuff, it's like a soup. And I'm just going to slowly work it because it's been sitting there for 20 minutes or so when I made it between classes. And you'll notice that this liquid, or is it liquid, is a soup-like substance. And I'll continue to play with it. Now, I use this oobleck, this non-Newtonian liquid or non-liquid substance to describe and to illustrate. This is really just an illustration of what your joint fluid actually behaves like, what your fascia actually behaves like, but also how we can visualize what our chi behaves like. Okay, so now I've slowly encouraged a little bit of movement in here. What you'll notice is this is a fluid. Now I'm going to attempt to pick this up. And when I pick this fluid up, you'll see it just oozes off my hands. Now, if I try too hard to pick this up, you'll notice I'm actually really trying hard here and struggling to do this. You can probably tell in my voice. And everything starts to become very clogged up and it's really hard. And when I try too hard and I pick it up and I try too hard, it actually becomes a solid. But as soon as I let go of that, it flows again. So again, if I try and work this too hard and I work too fast, so i.e. if I'm moving too fast in my Qigong, it's going to be very clumpy and it's not going to flow. And it's going to take this real hard. Look, as you can see, this is turned into a solid. But as soon as I slow things down and I gently ease into the movement, things start to flow. Same as if I try and drag my hands right through this. Hopefully you can see this on the camera. You can see the bottom of the pan, it's really sort of just breaking up. It's very clumpy. It's actually really hard to move. Now if I just put my fingers in it and very gently move, it flows. So the reason why I'm giving you and showing you this illustration is to how to come to your practice. And when you come to parts of your body that are locked and blocked, and when you come to Qigong with a forceful and willful mentality. So that's the oobleck. I'm going to move camera again. So I hope that helps. And the best way to feel it is to get some yourself. Yeah, that's good, thank you. Is to actually get some corn flour and water. It's half the amount of water usually to the corn flour, maybe a little bit less. Make a soup of it and play with it. And as you can see, actually it looks messy, but it's not too messy at all. So I hope that gives you an idea of how to visualize and work with Qi, that when you're practicing your Qigong, if you're too forceful and you're too willful, it is just going to get stuck and it will solidify, yeah, and it will become stagnant. But as soon as you just release and you let it go, it's going to start to flow again, exactly as you just saw me doing. playing with the Oobleck there. It's a lovely name, isn't it, Oobleck? I love that name. So that is perhaps a way to visualize how the chi, your inner ocean, is working in your body. So now you've got that visual. When you next come to a practice, visualize the Oobleck being very long and stringy and connected as you move, rather than robotic-like and being pushed hard and locked joints where you are going to get this seizing of flow of chi. So I hope that helps in the first instance. So, moving on. Paddy, I hope that answered your question, how to visualize chi. Now, chi sensations. Over the years, I have had thousands of students say to me, oh, should I be feeling this? Oh, I felt that. That was really peculiar. Wow, that was really nice. Wow, how do I get that feeling again? And it's different all the time, but there are some common reoccurring sensations that students have mentioned. And over the years, I've made a list of them. So I'm just going to read them to you now, just to see whether you might connect with any of these. Now, we can eventually, all of us can eventually feel chi within us, but the sensation is unique to us all. So please remember, don't try and find these sensations, but if you are experiencing them, it is likely to be chi. Tingling in the hands, feet, and your cheeks. Feeling fluffy internally, like clouds moving inside. Remember, this is what students have said to me over the years. A sense of flowing or circulating. Feeling radiant. A floating feeling. Feeling that the surface of the body is porous. That the skin has no edges. A spreading of warmth in the limbs and the torso. The feeling of being slightly tipsy. Energy moving in your belly. A release of tension in your shoulders, neck. Pain goes. The urge to cry, or at least be tearful. Reconnecting to a lost part of ourselves. A sense of connection, of being spiritual. A feeling of blissfulness. A magnetic field between the hands. A sensation of heat coming from the hands. And one that has always stuck with me, and this is my personal one, a feeling of coming home. That I belong. These are just a few of the things, the common feedback on chi sensations that students, you might have others, and they're not wrong at all. But just to give you an idea that if you're experiencing any of these whilst doing your qigong, the likelihood is they are a chi sensation. So, a chi reaction now. So, a chi reaction is what happens during practice. What happens when we are doing our qigong and we get a reaction to it. And we can have two sorts of reactions, a negative and a positive reaction. A positive reaction could be, as I've just said now, a sense of blissfulness, relaxation. Perhaps you will sleep better that evening after you've done qigong. Perhaps you just feel good, in less pain, a sense of calmness, the ability to be able to deal with emotions and think straight, be less foggy or busy in your head, freer, more mobile in your body, and just generally a sense of feeling alive and happy and healthy. Negative reactions can be feeling nauseous. Actually, experiencing a little bit of pain because you're moving a part of your body that you've not moved for quite some time. Tearful, emotional, and emotions, well, you name it, we can experience any or all of them. And what we're doing when we experience these is, if you imagine that in your tissues in your body, that holds all this stuff within you. You are holding all the stuff that you've experienced. And when you do an intelligent movement like Qigong, it's unlocking those blockages, all that stuff. And that stuff needs to be released from your system somehow. It needs to get out. And therefore your body needs to process those toxins that it's been held up. So just like going back to that watercourse, the river, if you have got water that has been sitting there for quite a while, years sometimes, decades sometimes, and it's going to get stagnant. It's going to be really quite putrid water. It's going to be toxic. Nothing's going to live in it. But as soon as you remove the barrier that's holding that stagnant water and it starts to mix in with the rest of the river, the stream that's flowing, it will disperse, it will get thinner, it will slowly dissipate. But you're talking about your body here, which is why sometimes we feel these negative qi reactions. They don't last for too long at all. If you are or do ever feel a little nauseous after or during practicing Qigong, then I recommend taking on board some vitamin C. So some freshly squeezed orange juice or eaten orange, anything high in vitamin C. Don't have to have too much of it, but that will help you to deal with those feelings of being nauseous. The emotions, accept, let them flow, let them go, because they will go. Okay? So that gives you an idea of what to expect with positive and negative qi reactions and the sensations. Before I get on to your side of things now and answering your questions, many of you and many of my face-to-face students come to Qigong because they have a health concern and dealing with health issues. Now, talking specifically about pain now, there is good pain and there's bad pain. Bad pain is when we push ourselves through barriers and it hurts us. We do not do that in Qigong. It is not no pain, no gain. It's no pain, more gain. If the good pain is that sort of uncomfortable feeling that you're getting when you're opening part of your body, you've not opened up for a while, it feels a little uncomfortable, but it's manageable. And once you've done your practice, it's there, it niggles maybe for half an hour or so, but it soon goes. That is what we class as good pain. You can still work with that because it's not hurting you. Okay, so please be clear that we do not want bad pain. Don't push through barriers. That's not how we achieve Qigong. Remember where I started this conversation. It's a cumulative effect. Every day you will slowly break down these barriers, and it just takes time. But enjoy the journey. Don't set yourself up with a goal that you must achieve by the end of the week, by the end of the month. I want to feel like this, because that goal you can move as we do as individuals, as human beings, because something else happens and then we feel disappointed in ourselves. So remove the goal and enjoy the journey. So now it's going to be over to you. I've got a few questions that have already been asked through email, and I'm going to go through those now, and then we'll go over to Laurie and see whether any of you have been asking anything. So Paddy, I've answered your question, I hope. Gemma. Hi Gemma. Can you use qi to send it to a damaged or ill part of the body? Yes. There you go. Simple answer is yes. That is a whole different teaching in itself, but the answer is yes, and anybody can do it. To give you an idea, when I ask you to feel the qi before we start movement, that connection you have between your palms, where the qi radiates out of a point here called Lao Gong, you can radiate that chi to yourself. So you can just hone into a frozen shoulder using the example, but I've swapped sides now. And you can use your visualization, your focus, and the connection, the Oobleck connection of drawing and pulling and removing the stagnant chi and replacing it with good chi. But these are different teachings. And you can do it on other people too. So there is chi healing on other people that you can do. Maybe that's something that I can do in a workshop when we can all get back together again. How would you explain this? This is a continued question from that previous one from Gemma. How would we explain this to those new to Qigong? Sometimes it's easier not to explain something and just let people experience it. Sometimes it's nice for people just, if you are doing healing hands-on work to people, or you're just putting your hand on them, you know, it's a bit like a child when they're crying. Sometimes all it takes is for you to put their hand on them to settle and calm them. Well, you're not actually explaining anything to them then. They can just feel it. So I don't know whether there is a need to explain. For me anyway, I'm a touchy-feely person, and I think Qigong is all about that too. So maybe words are too much sometimes when we try and explain these things. And why are there differences between my left and right hand sides of my body? Again, going right back to where I was talking with the Oobleck and where we have imbalances, it's exactly that. It's an imbalance. Sometimes we just have a part of the body that we may have an injury with. Now, it might not be that the injury is found in that exact part of the body. It might be referring from another part of the body. So for instance, if it's the spine, which is the central hub of the body, that can radiate everywhere. So that's why a lot of what we do involves pulsing to always keep the spine elastic. So therefore it can slowly start to ease out to the rest of your body. So there will be differences in the left and right hand side of the body. It's good that you're noticing them. Don't try too hard. Just try and bring your intention when you're doing your Qigong to the side that is less connected with. It will come. It will come with time. I hope that helps, Gemma. And Jane. Hello, Jane. If you've only got half an hour of time, what to do? The warm-up or the form? Well, the way that I teach my Qigong and what you're learning now with me during the everyday classes, actually it's all Qigong that you're doing. Yes, I call them warm-ups because we are warming up the body, but we are getting the Qi to move around your body, and the form is the formal practice to be more specific of where we're moving it. So it's entirely up to you. Perhaps alternate if you're only doing half an hour a day, which is absolutely fine because you're listening to your 70%. Do one day, maybe do the warm-ups, and the next day do the form, and alternate like that. As you well know, I'm doing the Hummingbird project, and that's going to be offering an abridged version of what we're currently doing in our hour-long classes, and that will be about a 20-minute session. That might help you as well. So I hope that helps, Jane. The second question from Jane is, when you experience chi sensations at different times of the day when you're not doing Qigong, hot, cold, are these chi? That's a really difficult one. Again, it depends on what our health conditions are. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's chi then. If you're experiencing hot and cold, they are probably physiological sensations that you are experiencing, and you know, the body will work in its own ways to adjust the body temperature, etc., etc. So it's unlikely to be chi if you're just sitting there having a cup of tea and then all of a sudden later on you feel hot. Well, your body will react to having had that cup of tea, and sometimes if you're a bit like somebody going through the menopause, they will experience a whole host of different experiences, and that's not necessarily chi. That's the body trying to regulate what is what's happening. So I wouldn't say that's necessarily chi. I would just say that's your body going through stuff and settling down perhaps after your practice. I hope that helps. Kit, I answered your question in the class this morning because it was a physical answer, and I'm a little bit tired here and I can see oobleck going everywhere if I start to swing my arms. So I'm going to head over now to my glamorous assistant, who you can't see but I can assure you is very glamorous.
Yeah, we've had a couple of questions. First of all, Janet wanted to share one of her chi sensations and wondered if you could speak to smelling a certain smell, a nice smell that's not around the house, that she hasn't ever smelled before, but only when she's practicing Qigong. Have you ever heard of a chi sensation like that?
I have, Janet. Really good one. And yes, I have. Actually, I have personally as well. A long time ago. But when you mentioned that, I was like, wow, I remember that. Yes, it. When we do reconnect within Qigong, it goes a lot deeper than I'm talking about now, Qigong. It really is a very deep spiritual practice as well. And some of you may already be sensing those spiritual connections, and I will leave that for another conversation another day. But yes, when we open up our senses and we let go and everything starts to flow, your senses become heightened. And the smell, I believe, this is from me now, this is my personal opinion, having practiced Qigong for 25 years, it's probably a smell that you have encountered before, but not in your it's not in your conscious memory. So it's not like you smelling a rose, for instance. That's a common smell that you recognize, but it might have been something when you were smaller. And the reason why I say that is because my smell was of jasmine. So when I was doing Qigong many moons ago, and I was there and I got this waft of jasmine that I had not smelt, and I didn't remember smelling that. It wasn't until some time afterwards I remember, as a child, I used to smell jasmine when I was on holiday with my mum in Cyprus, and I used to make jasmine chains and necklaces and bracelets for her. So that is very, it's a lovely sensation to have, and I'm pleased for you that it's a pleasant smell. I hope that helps, Janet.
Yeah, we've got a question now from Ian. How do you direct your chi?
Directing the chi is very similar to the question that I've just had from Gemma. It's very similar to when we're healing chi, that we use the mind, we use our intention, and we use Lao Gong, center of the palm, here and here. And I'm going to show you now where this is. If you just get your hand and you just close your hand up into a fist, where your middle finger tip connects, if it can, connects with the palm, and pull your hand away, that is the closest you're going to get to locating an area we call Lao Gong. Lao Gong is an energy gate, and that's where chi comes in and out of our body. We've got them on both hands, we've got them on the balls of our feet and crown of the head, the perineum. These are the areas where chi come in and out of the body. For directing chi, you would use the palm, and as I just said, once you've sensed the chi, it will be a case of learning how to feel the oobleck visualization and to remove the stagnant chi first to then replace it with good chi. But you would use your intention and you would use Lao Gong to do that. Again, that's something that will take teaching to do rather than just randomly doing it, because we need to get rid of the old before we can replace with the new. And that's something that I'll be happy to teach, but that's more of a hands-on in-class teaching rather than doing online, because we would work on each other. I hope that helps, Ian.
Yeah, so we've got a question from Sue right here.
Hi, Sue, right?
Really, really interesting question here. How can I translate the movements into the way I walk?
Lovely question, Sue. And it's one of my favourites on how to walk Qigong. And we need to slow down generally in life. And there's a word that we use in Qigong and Chinese called manzu. And when you say, so in China what they used to say, or Qigong communities would say to each other, when you say, rather than saying goodbye, you would say to somebody manzu, which means go slowly. And it's about being mindful. So when we walk, apologies for that big rumble, but we've got some RAF planes hovering over us, I think that's the common sound. When we walk heel to toe. And this is actually something that I'm going to be teaching in the Life is for Living course that I'm going to be slowly putting up there. But essentially, if you imagine this is your foot, your heel and your toes, you strike the ground with your heel first. Now you don't have to lift your toe up too high, but so long as you touch the heel first and you create this sort of motion with your foot. So it's heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. It will make you walk a lot slower, so you'll be a lot more mindful of what you're doing. And by doing that, it's really healing for the rest of your body, because our feet tend to be cooped up for so many people in shoes. And actually they're not meant to. Shoes aren't a great invention for lots of reasons. They're a good invention for many reasons, but for our health, for our body, you know, when you're at home, try and kick your shoes off, be as barefoot as you possibly can. We want to create space in the foot. And as I mentioned a few days ago about the plantar fascia and the peacemaker meridian that runs up from your feet through your back over to the brow, just by exercising your feet, you're going to release tension across that entire meridian. So when you walk heel toe, this is what we would call Qigong walking. We walk heel toe nice and slowly. Don't lift your toes up too high. Just make sure you strike with your heel first. You feel the ground with your foot. Go to your toe and you walk like so. That's how we would do it. And I do that quite often with quite a few of my students, especially when they are dealing with balance issues. It's really good to be able to feel the ground, to know that the ground is beneath you. So I hope that helps, Sue. I hope that helps. And it's a lovely way to do it. And if you've got a garden, walk around your garden. Or if you're going out for one of your walks that we're allowed to do at the moment, heel toe walk. Take your time, breathe. And in the course that I'm going to be offering, there will be a breathing pattern to your walking as well, which is even more meditative, and it's a beautiful thing. I hope that helps, Sue.
Well, that sounds lovely. Gemma was asking, where on the balls of the feet does the qi come in, please?
So right in the centre of the balls of your feet. So I'm not going to put my feet, because this is my dining table, and I'm not going to show you the soles of my foot. But if you've got your foot here, just about there. So you've got your toes, you've got the ball of the foot here, just around here is Yong Xuan. Okay, so that's a point we call Yong Xuan. So when we do our Yao Gong posture in our classes, and I ask you just to grab the ground gently with your feet, you'll notice that there's a little indentation or a little feeling that comes in the ball of the foot. That's exactly why we do the grabbing onto the ground at that point. It's just to stimulate the flow of qi from the earth up through your body. I hope that helps.
So we've got a question from Eileen now. Eileen says, in the 3 principles you say that where the heart goes, there goes the mind. So I'm concerned about someone near and dear, so my heart is with them, and I'm trying to stay inside my body. Question mark. Do you need more clarification?
Yeah, that's because it's very personal, Eileen. I think because that's very personal. It's a difficult one to answer on the generically, and there is, so I get it. And I have a few students at the moment who are dealing with real loss. I'm just going to say it, they are dealing with huge amounts of loss. And when it involves the heart always remains within you. So yes, we want to keep our heart, but we're also, I hope this is going to capture what you're trying to ask me, because you or we as people want to try and connect with others, or be strong for them, because they're the ones that have possibly had the loss directly and you are suffering with them. It's okay, in my opinion, to be able to, you're always going to have your heart within you. So where your heart goes, you're not going to lose that sense. You're actually going to open up your heart to let it release what it needs to release. Don't be afraid that you are going to lose this because you are opening. Sometimes we perhaps hold on because that makes us feel secure, or that makes us feel that if we don't hold on, we're just going to collapse. We're not going to be able to function. It's just going to be too much to deal with. And this is all individual, of course. However, when it comes to a point where you are dealing with heartfelt issues that are really profound, little and often, in my opinion and in my experience, because I have suffered from loss too, helps to let go of that. Now, this security blanket that we feel that we are holding on to by not letting go, as I've said in class as well, that actually ends up not being good for us. And I get it as well, that sometimes we feel that we need to be strong for other people. And if they see you being emotional, how's that going to be for them? Well, actually, perhaps it's going to be healing for everybody. Perhaps we all need to let it go and be. So it's a difficult one to answer you individually. I'll be happy to have a chat with you about it. If you want to get in touch with me privately, please do so. But I hope that gives a generic sort of opinion really on my perspective of when I offer you these 3 principles of Qigong practice. It's about you connecting with your heart, your spirit, your soul, to the earth, to the heavens, to therefore allow the rest of the chi and the intention to flow. And one needs the other, which is what I've been going on about all the time, that we can have blockages due to things that we are dealing with mentally, physically, emotionally. But just take your time with it. There is no rush whatsoever to do that. Now, I hope that sort of helps and answers the question a little bit, but please do get in touch with me if you need to.
Yeah, just one more question now, and this is about visualizing connections, and it's from Robin. And she says, or he says, sorry, I don't know if it's Robin, a lady or a man. You recently talked about water and nutrients flowing around the body. I find this easiest seeing the nutrients like hundreds and thousands. Can you speak to that?
So Robin, if it's the Robin that I know, the Robin that you are, hi Robin, hundreds of thousands, you've just let your secret away, what you have on your ice cream. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? If that's what you get and it's like hundreds of thousands that are pouring and filling in those minute spaces within your body that you can just tilt, perfect. If that's what's helping you, that's right. You know, Qigong is such a versatile individual practice. It is, I'm here to be a facilitator to open up this practice for you as individuals. So if you imagine hundreds of thousands or ping pong balls or oobleck or water, it doesn't matter. So long as it works for you, then, and you are connecting in whichever way that you can, then brilliant. I'm really pleased that you've got your hundreds and thousands.
Lots of people saying the session's been really helpful, crystallised my own feelings and thoughts from Audrey. Lots of people saying thank you, and of course Pete and Ian are really concerned. Where is Cara? Why isn't she on your lap?
During the course of this session, she has come and stayed on my feet. Cara Bells, you want to be seen, but they want to see you. I did say that. Didn't I tell you that, Laurie?
You
I
did.
said that people are going to
Pick her
complain.
up and put her on your lap. Give her a cuddle.
Come here. Excuse me a second.
Come on, Belzy.
She's asleep. But anyway, here you go. There's Cara. She was here on my feet all the time. She doesn't tend to leave my side, do you, girl? Okay? Hello, everybody.
Rudely awakened.
Yeah, rudely awakened. So, hello.
Thank you
Oh,
from
she's coming now.
Christine. Thank you from Eileen. People saying that if the page freezes, just refresh the page. It seems to work to help people who have freezing screens.
Okay, yeah, if you've got a freezing screen, refresh the page. Thank you for sharing that.
Lots of shout outs for Cara coming in now. Yeah, lovely.
Good.
That's
Well,
it.
I'm so pleased that you're getting something out of your Qigong. It is a profound practice, and it is going to sometimes test you, your resolve to what's in the closet sometimes that we've not faced for a while, or what's currently going on. All I can say is that I will be there as a mentor, as a guide, as a teacher for you, and I'm not planning on going anywhere. So accept the journey. Some days it's going to be easy, some days it's going to be harder. Enjoy the journey. Know that the process that you're going through is a healing process. And sometimes we have to go through the rough before we can get to the smooth, as with any healing. And at this time, where we've got so much more that we're dealing with than just the stuff that we're going through, but the whole world at the moment, sometimes we can take on the world's problems and have them as our own. The way that I've always worked, and the way that my training and my studies and my beliefs and my philosophies are, that when we as individuals heal ourselves and work on ourselves, we create a ripple effect to those who are nearest and dearest to us. And not just nearest and dearest, but to the people that we connect with in our lives. Whether that's to talk to, or whether it's just because someone's posted a letter through the post box, collected our rubbish, or we've gone to the local shop, or whatever it is. If we work on ourselves as individuals, we will slowly start to create a ripple effect of wholesomeness, of love, of compassion, of happiness. That ripple effect will affect others that you will encounter in your life. Whether you can see them or not now, they will feel it. We are all connected. It's proven. It's called quantum entanglement, if you really want to know about it, but that's what it's about. And then once we all start doing our own individual things, and we all start creating little ripples, those little ripples start to become a bigger ripple. That bigger ripple starts to affect others, and that becomes a bigger ripple. And before we know it, we've surrounded ourselves and helped others by word of mouth, by what we're doing individually. And that will help us. It will help others. It will help our planet. And it is a safer, more comfortable feeling to be moving forward with at this time. So continue your practice. I'm here if you need me, and I look forward to seeing you on Monday. Take care of yourselves. I wish you all the very best. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.